So now I want to align the song so it's on that grid well. And it looks like it is pretty well on the grid there, but it starts getting off pretty quickly. That, at least that drum part does, and that just may just need to be tightened. Yeah, because then it gets right back on here. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to tighten it to the grid a little bit so that everything feels together. Not that we want to make it mechanical sounding, but we want everything to be together. So we'll kind of lock the bass to the drums. We'll make sure the drums aren't floating too much all over the place. So let's check and make sure we don't have other tempo changes throughout the song. So we'll kind of play through it with the click track. Looks like it's starting to creep a little bit ahead of the grid. So we may want to just adjust it a touch. It may be that it's just a touch faster than 92 beats per minute. So often I'll just go change that to 92 point. When it's that close, it could be 92.04 maybe, and just see if that gets it tighter on. And that's looking pretty good. Here's the guitar solo. Go George. Okay, so now we got the tempo set properly. We should be able to hear it with the Pro Tools click, and it should sound pretty on throughout, and that way we can actually leverage the Pro Tools functionality to align things. So now we get to start focusing in on instruments. So I'm going to start with the drums. And so first off, you can see this first hit's pretty right on, but right away it starts falling quite a bit behind the beat. So what we're going to do is just going to put it back on slip mode, and we're just going to separate that, and we're going to bring it back. And really I'm going to focus on the kick and snare, but it's going to move all of the drum tracks and keep them in sync so that nothing's falling away from each other or getting out of phase or anything. And we don't want to get everything right to the grid. We want to preserve some of that feel from the drummer, but we don't want things that are way off and clearly way off, like it's starting to fall way too far behind here. So continue to bring these a little bit in. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more on the kick and snare here so I can see what's happening better. Okay, so here started correcting back to the beat. So now we have the opposite situation where we have to push it out a little bit. And in this case, you don't want that gap there. And usually on drums, you can get away with just pulling this back and crossfading it. So you want to listen to this frequently, and I'm not going to put crossfades in every place because I can do that all once it's all done with one crossfade effort. So, but I do want to listen and make sure I'm not messing anything up. Okay, so that sounds a lot better already. Okay, so moving along here. This looks very good. Maybe getting a touch ahead here, so I can see it's starting to creep ahead more, so I'm going to start pushing that back so it's a little bit more behind the beat. And you're always going to want to select everything to the right. And once you started this process, you basically have to do everything because you've already moved everything out of time from what the drummer actually played it. So you're really kind of committed at this point. Kind of want a little bit behind the beat on a song like this. It's a little bit laid back. So I'm not going to worry about things being behind a little bit as long as they're not way behind. Like this snare, even though I got these kicks on now, this snare is still kind of a little bit too far behind. So I gotta bring that up a little bit and then actually, what's going on here with these toms here? So kind of 16th note thing. So probably need to push those all this way. I'm in the habit of doing crossfades along the way, but I'm going to try not to do those and do them all later. Okay, so backing up a little bit, so that it sounds right. So I'm noticing this kick is sounding off, but I've already adjusted things over here, so I'm just going to kind of grab that kick and make sure I'm not messing up the cymbals or anything, but grab that and separate that and just bring that back. And then fill the gap. Okay. So now this section's fallen pretty far behind again, so and then quickly getting back ahead. I'm still feeling a little too slow on that snare hit. Okay, that's good. This whole process may seem a little extreme, but this is getting you to the standards of what people are used to hearing nowadays. Modern music is very much on the beat, and the advantage of having acoustic instruments and everything is you could still have some authentic musician feel, but since people are used to hearing drum machines more than acoustic drums nowadays, you want it to be pretty dead on, but with still preserving the feel. I didn't wanna Yeah, so that feels a little rushed. Sometimes it's cool to have the fills a little rushed, but it's a little bit too much in this case. So I think we just scoot it back a little bit. I didn't wanna fly. But now this part feels a little fast, and then there's a gap, so I'm just gonna take this section and move it a little bit too.
Didn't wanna fall.
Better. And then that snare comes right back on.
Didn't wanna fall.
Good. Save often. I'm not very good at that.
Didn't wanna fall.
In fact, what I should have done before I started doing all this editing was create a different playlist to store it all on, or so I could go back to the original performance